Welcome back for another episode of our show, Awakening Spiritual Gifts. And we are your co hosts, Christy Turley and Martina Muir. So good to see you again today.
Hello.
Hello. So, we have a few ways that you can send in questions, whether it's before the show starts or after it starts, or of course, during. So you can ask in the comments. You can also message our Facebook page, The Intuition Gem, and you can also email us. And the email is in the description of this post if you want to check that out. So, yeah, we love doing this and we love answering all of your questions about spiritual gifts, new gifts arriving, your purpose, struggles, blocks, health, and more. And you can also ask for a general reading if you can't make up your mind what you want to ask. So we love hearing all your questions and seeing your beautiful faces. And so anyway, we're going to get started with today's energy, the energy of the day, which is a tradition at the beginning. So you'll want to make sure that you tune in on time every day so you can catch this. We've been having quite the story unfold, huh, Martina?
Yeah, I'm like every day I'm like, what's next? Oh, and then afterwards too, it's like, oh, that's why I was feeling this. Is because now I'm seeing what's going on. So yeah, it is. It's totally a cool story. And one thing that was really fascinating, I was talking to a friend yesterday, or anyway, we were just messaging, and I had asked her about like what's going on, like symbolically. Like I love the stars, I love the big picture of things. And there's, not necessarily that I'm not sitting there reading my astrology every day and going, can I leave my house today? Am I going to find my true love today? That's not really what I
No,
use.
you never do that, Martina.
But it's like the whole symbolism of it. Like there are absolutely stories and symbolism and even influences with the planets, the stars, and the suns and the moon. Like all of this tells a big, giant, beautiful story. And so I was asking her, I'm like, okay, what's going on with some of the symbolism with this and this and this? And it was fascinating to be reminded of, sorry, is there my girl screaming in the background now?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Sorry about that. We got a birthday girl and my two daughters are in there playing something very loudly. So
hopefully you didn't give them any sugar yet.
No, I know. Well, yeah. There's birthday candy in there, so they're figuring it out.
There you go.
And a new game. Anyway, but it was interesting to see how, like, even some of this, like the Aquarius, like we were in the Aquarius stuff, and that has such a symbolism for being kind of a paradigm shifter and having the truth things. And I was like, oh my gosh, the energy of that truth coloring that I keep seeing around. I'm wondering if it's kind of all lined up with some of the energies that I was seeing. And then some of the emotional things that have been going around, some of this unearthing and that bringing stuff out to the surface, that was also in there symbolically. So I just really love how, to me, it just testifies of just like this all-knowing and loving God, that of course everything is connected. Of course these stories play into the earth and the story as a whole, but then also to us individually and personally, and just how things work. And so I was just really reminded of that. And so the energy for today, like one of the first thing I'm seeing, it doesn't look comfortable on the earth. It's interesting. So I'm seeing kind of this bubbling up energy, and it has some of that same coloring that I keep talking about. And if you've watched it, I think yesterday I was talking about those like little truth bomb things that look like they're coming down, like a teardrop shape. They're kind of that same kind of maroonish, reddish, mixed with light and dark. It was like the whole two sides of the polarity, the duality stuff, and it was coming down. It was like reveal the dark and add some light. It's all coming up. And so I'm thinking that this bubbling up is just left over from that, or coming from it. Like we're getting these truth bombs, and now things are just bubbling up and allowed to come to the surface. It looks kind of like when you boil something, or like plastic starts to melt and you get some of those bubbling up with things. And it's really interesting because when I'm kind of seeking, like looking past to see what else is there, this is fascinating, but I got to take just a quick minute to see what's behind it. So there's a bunch that's hidden from my view. which doesn't happen very often. Sometimes if it's hidden from my view, there's a reason why it's hidden. It just goes dark. It's just like I can't see it. So I like to find out the reason for the hidden. There can be lots of different reasons. Sometimes God hides things from your view. Sometimes things are hidden just because it's supposed to be subconscious. You're not supposed to know things. So I just want to like look at that and see what can I know about what's hidden there. Okay. So it feels like this is in relation to what's going on right now just in our planet. There's some I'm seeing some like opposite things taking place. So, oh, this is hard to describe. It's also related to time and to things happening. So, I'm actually gathering that we're at this place in our world and our inside world as well. So, just individually and collectively, where we're at this moment of choice, where we have these contrary energies that are occupying some of the same space. And so it's like creating some agitation or some just two of them occupying, right? And so there's these two frequencies, and which one is going to win out, right? Like which outcome, which are we going to change? So it feels like we're just standing on this precipice of time, like a timeline change. Like which choice, what are our choices going to create? Because we are these co-creators with the way we think, either with thoughts we think, the things we feel, the things we do, we co-create, we change our realities. And this is why like it's not so definite, and we don't just live this linear line. It's like this eternal round. And like, sorry, this is way complicated. I didn't know I was going to enter into this right now. But so what is going on right now is going to determine some of the future events. So some future events are already coming down to the atmosphere. I'm seeing that. I can see above the sky. If you remember, I energetically was seeing a storm coming, and like the clouds were rolling in, and there was a lot of electrical current, a lot of intensity in that storm. So I'm seeing the storm above this, and then I'm seeing like these polarity sides coming in. Sorry, am I making this crooked? I think my chair needs to be moved.
You're good.
Can you see me okay? Anyway, so it's like I'm seeing it like sandwiching it, and then it's creating this intensity. And so these two things are inside of it. And it's like what is going to happen next determines on our choices and how we are. And so it's really important, this bubbling energy. Some of that can feel really uncomfortable when you're unearthing old emotions, old past wounds, revisiting things you thought you had recovered from, and it feels yucky. Like that doesn't feel super awesome sometimes, but at the end of it is a higher, more pure place of alignment. Literally, you're just getting rid of some of the lower vibrations, and so you're able to live higher at this higher realm that can handle more of the, I want to say, complexities of heaven, like in a more pure way. Like before, you couldn't handle, like we hear about this, like the glory of God would actually kill us on the spot if we beheld him right now because of the vast glory. And so this process is allowing us to remove some of those lower frequencies and darker parts of ourselves so that we can be more light and we can have more of his glory, so that we can meet him face to face and we can behold his glory, because we've done some of this work to refine ourselves. So if anything, y'all, right now, I would say just, I know if you're going through anything hard or whatever is happening, just keep the faith. Do everything that you can to forgive, to release, to move on, to heal, to love, to like praise, to worship, like to just lift your hearts and your soul up in love and gratitude, and just serve, and to release yourself from those lower things. Because even though you feel like you may feel like, who am I? How am I going to help? You working on yourself is helping us as a whole and collectively. So if each of us, if all we can do is just heal our own stuff, then collectively we will be able to influence the outcome for more good and more light. So that was a lot.
It was great. It was really great. We're going to go to a question that I received via Facebook Messenger, actually, which you can send any questions there before, during, and after the show. Okay, so she wants to be anonymous, and this is what she writes. I revere God, and I am at the stage in my life where I think of heaven frequently, and now I see God's magnificence in every area of my life. Is it okay to feel this way?
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
It is beautiful.
That sounds really beautiful. Um, I think it's important for each of us to get to a place where we revere it. Now, sometimes just with that polarity of things, like there's two sides to what can happen. There was a time in my life, especially when I first started seeing light and energy with my physical eyes. So what was this, 12, 13 years ago? I got a little obsessive though. It was like I just wanted only to just only choose things that was light, only to choose and to be near things that were good. And it was just like only live in those higher frequencies where I just felt God's presence as much as possible. And I was really, really sensitive, obviously too, with my sight. Like I was sensitive to anything that was darker, not of him. And so it was just like this beautiful time where I just I marinated in it. Like I just really loved it and I marinated it. And it was really important. And I lived like that for a while. And I mean, it was even in the food that I ate, the music I listened to, the movies I watched. And it was just like this really pure time in my life. And I loved it. But here's where it kind of started flipping over in on itself is I started to get counsel and voices kind of just tell me like, okay, Martina, like it was like teaching me that if you only stay in that place all the time and you don't allow, and you're not able to withstand anything else in your presence, you live in a very mortal world where there are lower things. And it was like this caution of you will not be able to serve the people of this earth. You will not be able to serve your fellow mankind. If you stay like this. And it was kind of like, I've asked you to be in the world, not of the world. And so it was kind of reminding me like, you don't have to be of the world. So you can still maintain some of that light, but I'm asking you to go into the world. You've got to serve people. You have to develop some kind of ability to be near things. Like I was thinking about how Christ went and, he was hanging out with sinners and the lepers and, people that were deeming like, others were sitting there saying like, don't go near them. They're the untouchables, are not good. But he did because he served them. And so I was kind of shown that. And so the way to do that and the key that I've discovered to do that is that it's, and I'm not saying everything's evil, but just the world itself, right? You like leave the house. If you watch anything on, you hear something like stuff comes up that's not 100% that. And so the way that I view this and the way that I do it now is it's like I'm anchoring into the light. So I'm anchoring in and having that light and that love occupy my heart space and my mind and my thoughts internally, but it's like I'm rappelling down in. So I really do think of it like cave jumping. Like if you anchor in and you're like rappelling down into the dark and you've got the light with you, it's like you have a headlamp and you're shining a light, or you got flashlights. So the light is coming with you as you're rappelling down in. So that would be my only thing for you. I love that you're getting that, but then also to be aware at what point will you might be called to, yes, like great. Now you know how to anchor into it. And how can you bring that to the world and to others and to areas that don't have all that light? And I feel like that's for a lot of us, actually.
Yeah, for sure. That's a lot for a lot of us. Okay, let's go to, Jennifer just said good positive or perspective and reminder. Yes, for sure. Okay, let's go to Jennifer. She actually has a question. What is keeping me from being in ease and flow?
Love it. Okay, Jennifer, let me take a look to see what's coming up for ease and flow. Okay, so one of the first things I'm seeing is something from your heart, like this energy of your heart. And I don't know if I'm sure you've maybe watched or heard me talk about this before, but some of the danger of having expectations, which it's interesting because I've talked a lot about on expectations on these on these live shows before, but oftentimes it's from the like mental perspectives. Like you have a set image of what something has to look like or how you expect it to show up in order to be and to be what you feel like it should be. But it's interesting because yours is like almost like a subconscious. It has no thoughts to it. It's coming from your heart. So it's almost like this expectation of how something is supposed to feel. Or to show up, or I mean, this could even be with people, relationships, money, whatever it is. Like it's expecting, so these things about expecting it to feel a certain way, and if it doesn't look and feel this certain way, then there's not ease and flow. So around that, some of it I can see that the parameters of those expectations are being held by things like fear, maybe past pain, even childhood, like watching the way that things would have to play out. And so you just kind of form some of those subconscious structures. So I would start just even kind of looking at it and kind of look and see, like, what if ease and flow looks differently than you think it does? Or what if ease and flow feels differently than you've assumed it feels? It's kind of those powerful questions of just like, what else could it look like? So, for example, can you feel ease and flow in a moment of struggle and hardship? How can you feel ease and flow in moments of feeling stuck and lost? Do you see what I mean? Like those two opposites, like, whoa, how can those two things exist in the same moment? It's not really an either or, it's really an and. So if you want ease and flow, how can it be this and that in that moment? Because like if you believe that you have to only experience ease and flow and it has to feel and look a certain way, only when life is peaceful and all is well, that's a bunch of hogwash, because life is never just an arrival place that you just float down a lazy river for the rest of your life. That's not ease and flow. But can I have, like, I'm thinking of like during moments of struggle, like I can honestly say I feel ease and flow even when things feel clunky sometimes, and it's like I'm really struggling with something. And that's just because I'm understanding this like ease and flow. And then even when something isn't feeling ease and flow, like within that, I'm still part of the flow. It's just more lessons for me to learn. What else? So this is part of the flow. The struggle gift is in the flow. So can I look at it and can I heal it, work with it, change it, do something different? And then as I dissipate it, then it's a stronger flow, right? But it's still part of the same flow. It's just like a river going on and going down, and it's collecting maybe rocks and debris, or it's collecting things. I'm on a call, honey. Use the other bathroom. Okay, wait till I'm done, sweetie. Literally, I'm on camera right now. Go back. Okay, she's gonna get something. But anyway, so it's just this river. It's her birthday, so I'll give her a pass on this one because she's cute. But it's just that river and flow and collecting things. And I'm seeing almost like, how like a rock can be picked up in a river, and then it rolls down, it softens the rock, and then it wears it down, and then it eventually becomes sand, right? So that's kind of what I'm seeing ease and flow like. So let me know if this helps, because this was cool. I've never actually thought of ease and flow like this till you asked me this question right now, and I guarantee that's probably for other people too.
Totally. Love it. Yeah. She says I gave her some things to think about, and I feel like it's peaceful around me, but I feel construction inside. And she said hi to your daughter.
Okay, I love that. So constricted inside, but peaceful all around. Yeah. So some things to maybe just pick. I love that analogy of the rock. So if you've got something inside, what can you pull out? Also, too, just to remind you, like these energies of what's going on the daily energy read, this is the time to pull it out. What are you afraid to look at? Like, I'll tell you what, like lately, like the last few months, I've been going down into like deep parts of shadow work of just pulling out those parts of myself that, no, I'm not that. No, I'm not that. Or no, this isn't true. And it's like, well, yeah, it kind of is. And it's okay. And just put it in me, because it's like we are whole beings, which means we have light and darkness within us. That was a dog. Anyway, so I hope that helps, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Okay, next question, Carissa. I'm considering making a move to Utah. Would you look into that energy and let's see, would you look into the energy of this versus staying in Idaho? I can't see my family being happy and successful there, but I'm trying to be open to the idea that moving could be an alignment for me.
Okay, good. I'm just gonna shut this. It's not fully closed. And okay, let's look at that. The energy between Utah and Idaho. First of all, I also want to compliment you. You have already been acknowledging something. So you're like, I can't see my family being happy and successful there. So why is that? That's some intuitive clues that you've already done. But sometimes, even though it's the best place for us to go, that doesn't mean it's going to be easy too. So it still could be. Okay. Okay. So you're here in Idaho. Okay, so when I'm looking at you and I'm seeing Idaho, it feels like a safe and known. Like you could stay there and it's just like, yeah, this is what I've known, and it'll still just kind of be what it is. When I see Utah, yeah, I agree. It's not super like, woo, easy and fun, like sliding down, but it feels like there's a piece of a puzzle that is there for you. But here's where agency comes in. Like you could stay. It's kind of like that. I could stay and live happy here, but it's the hero's journey. Oh, Christy, this is like reminds me of like how well you always talk about the hero's journey. But it's just like there's a call that comes to you to enter into this. It's like Frodo having to return the ring in Lord of the Rings. Like he could have stayed in the Shire. And if you haven't seen Lord of the Rings, I'm sorry, but it's like he could have stayed at home and it could have been like, oh, happy. But he chose to embark on this adventure. And sometimes he met really cool people, and then he had support, and he met friends. But there's times it was hard, and there was times he wanted to give up. He almost died. I mean, like it's a journey, right? And then at the end, he's able to kind of overcome it. And so that's kind of what I feel like this could be. Are you ready to embark on another journey, or do you want to stay where you're at? Total moment of choice. And no one's going to judge you for that choice. And I think that that's a choice that you just take to your maker and discuss. If you're married, children, I don't know what your situation is, but that's like you go here first and find out if that's where to go or if there's another way to achieve that next level of growth.
Love it. Okay, let us know how that resonated for you, Carissa. Next up, Alicia, what is loudest for me today? I'm in a weird funk.
Yeah, let's look at that for you. I feel like I'm going to just draw this one really fast. Hold on. Okay, so for one of the first things, I'm just seeing the heart energy is just super, super loud. And so it's almost like you can't think clearly because just the heart space is just cluttering it up. It's fascinating to see because it's also like an energy that I'm picking up. So I'm almost wondering if I don't know if you have identified any of it, but if you have some empathic abilities, I don't think this is all yours. I think you're picking up some either collective or heart stuff from other people, because this is just, it's not matching all of your energy, but it's a lot. And especially where your mind is not able to make sense of it all. That's how I feel when I'm just picking up a mass amounts of like collective stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel like me. Whose is it? What is it? And I'm like, oh, it's just a lot of people's stuff, So I feel like there's some of that going on. Also too, okay, this is interesting. I feel like also letting you know that, again, similar to how I deal with this is when I identify that there's all these other maybe emotions that I'm picking up, it's not mine to carry, but sometimes I can also help, I guess, transmute some of it through a way of just releasing it and letting it go. Oftentimes I'll pray and just kind of like pray and just send it up to heaven. Like it's just like, not mine. Let's just send it up. And so then it's like adding to the collective healing even though you don't have to physically, like you don't have to sit and feel all the pain of it, but like how quickly can you just move and shift it through? Does feel like there's a little bit more intensity for you today, in your mind and your heart, because there's some similarities to yourself and maybe similar pains. So it's like a tuning fork. Like if you have a tuning fork that's kind of ringing, ding, ding, and you bring another one close and this one, they'll start resonating at the same frequency. So I'm seeing that maybe you had some type of similar emotion or wound there in your heart, and maybe even some beliefs in your mind that's putting you at that place of resonance, so that all these other things are now coming in, and then now making you ring even stronger and stronger and stronger, just because it's matching in that internal resonance. So, so release it, send it up. And then the other thing I would just suggest is, what can you clear of yourself? Like what can you work and heal and release of yourself, so that it can lose its intensity and power and ability to connect with you like that. And also too, I can see your mind really trying to make sense of it all. So it's like the mind's like, what is this? What is this? I don't understand it. Sometimes it's okay just not to understand it all. Like that sounds weird, but sometimes I can't even tell you how many things I shelve every day. Like it's like I've got so many like bookshelves around me in my mind. It's like, don't understand that. If I'm supposed to understand it, it will show up at least a couple more times to teach me. Or when it's the right time, I just trust that it will pop in and I'll know. But so don't be afraid to just not understand it all, and just be okay with it, and just put it where it can go for the time being.
Love it. All right. Let us know how that resonated. Okay. Next person, Emily. There's something nagging at me today. I cannot seem to figure out what it is. Could you help me figure it out?
Yeah, look at these themes. Are we all feeling some collective stuff here?
Exactly.
Like, don't know what it is, but it's there. Okay. Even back to the energy of the day, knowing that a storm is coming, knowing that there's these polarity things going on, knowing that the land in itself and all the people on the land are experiencing a bubbling up of energies and emotions that are just on the surface. That's collective energy, the planetary read for the day. Can you see how some of this would influence you? Like all of us, right? How we're feeling it. So in a way, it really does feel like this is another one, Emily, where it's like, it may not all be personal to you, and you wouldn't understand. How would you understand? And guess what? Oh my gosh, I just put this piece together. It was hidden from view. Like I can't even see some of that. And this was not like a deceptive adversarial hidden. This was like meant to be hidden, because there's parts of this is an unknown thing. So look at some of this is like, there's something there, but I don't know what. So that's a theme. I felt it. I just saw it in the energy, and now we're seeing a pattern in the questions here. So again, there's some of it we don't know, and we're just going to have to shelf some of it because it's happening right now. We don't know because it's shifting as we speak, and it is hidden from our view. So, and especially with that energy, it would feel like a little bit of like something's coming, a little bit scary, a little bit of warning. Just think about those energies, like, and how would that literally feel if there's a hidden storm on the horizon, or a hidden something, it's like something coming and something bothering me. So again, something similar to you is just work and heal on what you can. I'm going to look a little bit more specifically to your energy here and see. Yeah. This is really fascinating, honestly. I'm seeing some of the same energetic patterns that I just saw in her, and I just see in my own heart. And it's similar things. It's just these places resonating in us, maybe some of our own pain points. And I'm also seeing some of the same, I guarantee you probably have some of the same empathic things where you kind of absorb. So I would do the same thing, send it up, and also transmute. If you're feeling it, just send it up and just not have to necessarily know what it is. And the other thing too that I'm seeing is that each of us are having, like I was saying, that there's parts of our own heart and our mind, our own wounds that could resonate. We could also identify where it's resonating. Like I'm seeing specifics in regard to maybe like relationship, marriage, family, money. I'm I'm seeing some, and I'm speaking to, because I have a feeling there's more people watching that are also feeling this. And so I'm just, even if this doesn't speak to you, I'm speaking it for other people too. But like health issues, I'm seeing like overweight, people thinking about weight and feeling overweight. And like I said, the money relationships, like marriages and stuff. This is going to just create this energy right here in you and all of us. It's creating a desire. We've got to up level. We've got to, or else it's going to like eat us up inside. So parts of this is just like, oh, let's get it out so that we can up level. So part of what I would recommend today is to take some deep breathing. Maybe even just like a meditation, like a breath meditation where you just listen. Can you even just find some music that you listen to and just inhale? And then just when you exhale, just imagine it all lifting off of you. Feel it lift off your heart. Feel it lift out of your mind. Let it come through your mouth. Even speaking, I'm seeing a lot of gratitude, like really leaning into verbalizing gratitude. What can you be thankful for? I just had a situation even this morning where I literally was like feeling all this contention, like weird stuff. And it felt like if I tried to dive in and try to like nitpick and look at it and it would just like make a greater division. And it was like the answer for that was just to not enter into it. Like you don't even have to figure it out. Because when you try to figure out this level of contention, the only answer if you dive in is to drive apart. So instead, lift off of it. And then I could almost see the very person or thing that you've been coming up against, instead of coming up against them, move to their side. So if there's a spouse thing or relationship or family, instead of me being against you, how about we both face each of our problems together side by side and looking at it? Or whatever this is, whatever the problem is, instead of fighting your body and health issues, instead get on the same side as your body and be like, hey, body, I love you. Okay, let's do this together. How can I support you? And you can support me. And what can we do together? And like, look at the goal there. So it just feels like a shift in stance. And this is for all of us. Like, instead of contending against it, shift against it. This is a straight up like martial arts thing. Like this is an energy thing. Like if you do Tai Chi, I used to do like jujitsu and Aikido, and it was like very much like if somebody throws a punch at you, instead of me coming back and hitting it like some arts, this one's a very fluid one where you let it pass through you and you let their energy, you use their energy and move it. And like, so it's a very low impact, but it's super effective because it's just maximizing that. And I feel the same thing here. It's just step aside, let some of that go by.
Emily wrote in, she said that resonated. And even the people that you read before helped. So it's good to know and relieving, she says. So that's cool.
I got to say too, like, this is why it's important for us to link arms. And right now on this show, I'm actually seeing why this show is so important. Because if all of us are feeling some of this garbage that can feel intense and you're thinking it's you, like, I mean, that could just be really overwhelming. But now it's like, oh, let me hear this. See, other people are going through it too. You're not crazy. It's validating and you can feel support. Like, this is why we have communities that we do. So like, I mean, I love that you guys are watching here, but if you haven't joined at least our free group, we've got our intuition playground, join our free group. Let's link arms more there. Or you can link arms more intimately in our intuition gym. Like this is why it's important for community and support. And this, even what we're doing here. So
I've got this on the same note. I've got to share this. This is so cool. Speaking of which, so April, remember how we were like, okay, if you get an answer, pay it forward. There's ways that you can pay it forward. You can share the post. You can tag friends in the post. You can invite people to like our page. Well, April, I've seen you put up Bonnie a couple of times yesterday and today. You tagged her in the comments and here she is. Bonnie's here. And it's so cool. And we're going to help her right now. See how that works?
Oh, I love that. Yeah. It like,
this is what guys, I love it.
This is what it's about. Like, yeah, we're here to help people, but then you guys can also help others. So April, thank you. And it's awesome. Way to catch that. Christy too. Like, she's got some mad skills, right? Like, this is cool. Okay, Bonnie,
That
let's
was
take
a good memory.
and you have a really good memory too. Like, yeah. Like Christy is like magical. Like seriously, I just am in awe at everything
Oh, thank you.
she does. It's like pulling things out of the ether and makes these magnificent things. I'm like, how did you do that? Okay. So Bonnie, let's look at your cough here. First and foremost, I feel some grief in your heart. Like it immediately went to, like, I'm just looking in the whole chest cavity, and it just feels like there's some old grieving, um, maybe some loss, some tears that you haven't cried. I also am seeing some, it looks like there's some strands even through your whole life, but originating even as a child, where there were some, like maybe you didn't feel fully safe to express yourself. Like maybe you felt like you had to walk on eggshells, or like you could, like it didn't feel quite safe to do like chaotic, ugly cry. You had to just like try to stop crying. I mean, that could be as simple as a parent like, stop crying, come on, toughen up. I mean, those kind of messages. But it actually feels like there's a little bit more for you, even than just a simple message. It feels like just it was kind of the way of being. It just wasn't free to just fully express and be yourself. And if you wanted to be a little hyper and playful, you could be. If you wanted to cry and sob like a crazy person and although all over the place, definitely not okay to do that. And so it just feels like there was a lot that wants to come out and be expressed, and express, especially with whatever pain or grieving or the whatever pains that you've had there in the heart are still wanting to be out and expressed. It just feels like, oh, it's not safe to do so. And so it just comes out and it's building some intensity. And so it's coming off in like bursts of coughs, like, oh, there was a little bit, there's a little bit, right? So let's see how to help you the most on this, because he's also a lot of the feelings here could feel a little too intense to let out all at once. So let's see what can help here. Okay, first and foremost, I would recommend breathing. Some deep breaths, especially the kind that are like, like relaxing. Get yourself out of the fight or flight mode, feeling like it's tense. Like bring yourself into that state of rest and deep breathing. Let yourself restore, like that rest and digest state, right? It's like we've got the fight or flight or rest and digest. So breathe, get into a state of rest or digest. And then I would actually do some really strong visualizations. If you could, or even do this literally, like go talk to a tree or talk to yourself in the car, but let some of those pains and emotions flow through you and out of your mouth. So like when I do this visually, I'll just picture and I almost feel it come out. Like I'll verbalize it in my head and I'll just go through and I'll just be like, well, this, blah, 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 whatever it just has to be. Just let yourself to just start doing that. That also is going to require you to take time for yourself. So I'm seeing maybe you are trying to please others and you have your self-care bucket maybe a little bit low. And I would say make time for yourself. Like, hey, I'm out for the next couple hours, and you go for a drive, you go check out nature, you go do something for you. But you got to create some kind of container or a space that you can enter into all of that, and it will be okay. And you can feel like you're not rushed or hurried, like, oh, hurry and take care of yourself. Like you get a 15-minute shower, but you don't get the rest of the time. Like make sure this is time that you're gifting to yourself and you don't have any rush. You can just be and just let it out. And I would just kind of keep doing some of those things like on a regular basis, especially the breathing, do that every day. And at night, actually, I do this little thing where I visualize any unspoken words or unfinished conversations. I just imagine it kind of completing and coming out of my throat and being done. Because I've healed my thyroid. And asthma and thyroid, like those are things that would always kind of come up, and all of that is similar to what you have, like with that energy just being blocked. So for me, it's super important to regularly get that out. And I haven't even finished all the way healing it. I feel like every time I do it, there's like so much in there. So it's a process for sure.
Yeah, Bonnie just replied, So this totally makes sense. It resonates.
Yeah,
So
sending love to
thank
you.
you for being here, Bonnie. It's awesome. We're here every weekday at 11 a.m. So Mountain, that is. So feel free to come back and watch the show. Everybody gets a lot out of just listening to other people's answers to questions. So it's really great. Do we have time for one more, or must we wrap?
Oh, we can probably do one more.
Okay. I really like this question from Melinda. I totally resonate with this question, and it's going to cover our faces, but I'm going to pull it down in a minute. So she says, "Love you too. So I want to start posting videos of me sharing personal stories that have helped me learn eternal principles in hopes to inspire others. I could not pull the trigger on creating a new page for it. I'm frozen. Also, fear of bad men is coming up in my dreams. I feel like I might be in danger to put myself out there because of past situations."
Love that. So that's a doozy. That's a big one.
It's a big one. So big it covered our screen.
It's so good.
It is.
Okay. Well, so first and foremost, the thought that came to me was, because it's coming up with such a giant fear tells me that's probably really important. That's one of the things that we talk about with some of the tactics in our intuition gym. There's a class that talks about it, but it's like sometimes those things that are trying to tell you, no, don't do that, that's too big and scary, that you could actually flip that and understand, oh, it's a message. Like, instead of being shut down, this is a message that it's something that is super important, and then it means to do it more. And so sometimes facing our fears, the only way to know that you're safe and to make it through is to do it, for one. Because it's like jumping off a cliff with you don't know how it's going to be until you do it. And then you're like, oh, my parachute, or I landed on a net. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. So there's something like that. But then I also understand that your subconscious is really trying to scare you by creating or showing you some of those fears, and to keep it really put a lid on it. So I can tell that it would be a very subconscious. It's a very deep fear. And then also too, I would I'm going to say this with like so much love. And I hope that when I say this, like the pure love and the intention of what I'm trying to say comes through, because this is in no way a judgment or anything like that. But the question that comes into my head is, or the impression I had, is to tell you to evaluate and check your faith. And I know that sounds so crazy, but I'm like, that's what I'm like. I'm not trying to like attack in any way, but to do a faith check. And the reason why I say faith check is that one of the things I was told this one time, like kind of through phrasing, like dropping into my head, but it was kind of about like the David and Goliath story. So maybe you can even go read that one again with some new eyes and kind of get some insights. But I was diving into that story, and David's faith was so pure and simple. Here's a teenager, and he would look at all of his people all afraid because there's this army with a giant. He's looking at all his people like, what? Why are you guys afraid? They should be the ones afraid of us. Don't they know that they're going up against God's army? And so he just had such that level of faith that then he tried on armor. It didn't fit. Tried to carry the sword. It's too heavy. I mean, just like, so he goes out there with the only thing that he could, a slingshot, totally unarmored against this giant, knowing that he will win. And so the phrase that came into my head was, make the faith in your God greater than the fear of your enemy. And this means make the faith in your God. This goes to all of us. Make the faith in your God greater than the fear of fill in the blank. Fear of money that you don't have. Fear of a sickness that you're overcoming. Fear of a relationship issue. Like, make your faith so big that those fears have nothing on it. So that's it. I don't know. Like, it just feels like there's some big, and so, I love you. Like, I just feel like there's so much greatness inside you. It feels like this, just time to ramp it up and go. And the only way that you will know if you'll be okay by making those videos is to do it. And the only way that you'll know to go through it and that you'll be stronger and that you'll be okay is to face it, and to face that Goliath and to slay it because of that faith, because it's so strong. And then you will know flashing like scriptures, like you will be a conqueror, you can conquer because of that faith. So send in love and strength. That's it. That can feel scary, but you got big things there to do. So I have faith in you and faith in your ability.
This some great comments we've got to put up here on the screen. Jennifer, just listening today has given me more peace. Hope others feel that way as well. Thank you for that gift. Blessings all around. And Melinda, listening to her, says, Sai, thank you so much. Amen. And thank you. So,
this I think was a perfect message actually for us to end on today, because thinking about what that energy of the day was, that feels scary as heck, man. Some of that is heavy. And we're not alone facing stuff. And, it's all of us. I'm listening to these words coming out of your mouth going, oh, these were for me too. Where can I do a faith check? So thank you for asking.
yes. Thank you, everyone, for participating. And we'd like to just invite you, if you got an answer today, to pay it forward and to share this post on your profile in Messenger. You can tag people in the post and invite people to like our page, any or all of them. It's really nice to be able to grow this and to be able to help more people. So thank you so much for being here today. And we'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Mountain. Same place right here on our Intuition Gym page on Facebook, as well as live on YouTube. So thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye, everybody. Love you.